The cold is officially here. Not far in Charlotte, North Carolina, we saw flurries last night. Here, the temperature was 35 degrees. A couple days ago, we got that hard frost. Go away. The cold is officially here. A lot of people think now is the time of year where we can go inside, kick our feet up by the wood stove, but the truth is, it's time to lock in. This time of year is always interesting. The work doesn't stop, it just shifts a little bit. Winter creates problems all around the homestead, whether it's like frozen waters, stressed animals, you name it. Fortunately, there's easy solutions to all these problems. So in this three-part series, I want to show the lessons that we've learned, the problems that we've had, and what you can take away to save you time, heartache, and ultimately money. If you're new to the channel, I'm Scott Vernon with the Sustainable Homestead Institute. It's our mission to get you back to the land without expensive equipment, so ultimately you and your family can live a healthy, sustainable lifestyle. Whether you got 2 acres, 200 acres, 2 chickens, 2,000 chickens, the problems that we face, they're gonna show up for you. If you follow our channel, you know we talk a lot about cover crops, seed banks, and doing the least amount of work to get the greatest amount of reward. One of those things is the timing of cover crops. You know I love daikon radishes for the way they remediate this Southwest Virginia clay soil. Another one is clover, another one is vetch, wheat, peas. All of these cover crop combinations to do the most value to our land have to be put in the right time. These are late October, we want to plant them, and that gives us like giant like radish that remediates the soil. You can actually frost seed clover, but if you don't know the seed and when to plant it, you might be burning up the seed cost, your time, but ultimately not getting the most value on the seeds that you plant. And that's really, really important in making the land profitable, not only in like money, but like the crops that you're gonna harvest. When we think about plants, we wanna think about where the energy is being stored in the season. So in the springtime, we have the emergence. That's when like leafy greens are really great. In the summer, we're into flowering. And then after that, we have like the fruiting, whether that's, you know, fruits or nuts or vegetables, whatever it is. We have the fruit, like the tomato, the apples, that comes into like fall. And then in wintertime, all that energy is stored into the soil. Now, if you start something in the wrong time, we're not getting that full season effect and benefit for the plants that we want to grow. In doing that, we're losing time, we're losing money, we're losing efficiency in the soil. So it's important to get those seeds in at the right time. Some things you're going to run into if you're implementing animal power. If the air is freezing, your water is freezing, means your animal is freezing. So we invest a lot of money into insulation and high quality waterers. That keeps the water from freezing. You'll also notice that we're not giving it 5 gallons at a time. We're giving it just enough to like get through the day and be happy. If you give a lot of water, now we're like, that's freezing over time, and it's like we're just busting waterers, and that's super expensive. So we invest in high quality insulated waterers for this rabbit hutch. The next thing that we do, if your water's freezing, your animal's freezing too. So we want to add more bedding to the system. We have a little bit of wood around the back part of this hutch that keeps the wind, but also we want to add bedding for insulation. The wood has like very little insulative R value. So if we add straw, we can make a much nicer place for this rabbit to live. Of course, the poop's not going to fall through and fertilize the ground, but we'll clean it out ever so often, throw it into the compost pile, throw it into the beds. There's really no negative effect there. It's all positive, and it keeps the rabbit happy.
All right, Scott, so tell me what's going on here.
So this is the bedding that we have in here with the rabbit. Notice it's just straw, it's just hay. Hay gives a little bit of like more to eat on. Straw has like all the seed removed, but you see the rabbit's pooping on top of it. Rabbits kind of like to poop in the same spot, but we'll just continue to throw hay, and that creates insulation that gives a little bit of lift off the ground for ground contact, and it makes for like a happier living environment for the rabbit. If you follow this channel for any length of time, you know that we preach chopping and dropping and heavy mulching our beds. That adds to organic matter, keeps the weed pressure down, and allows to know where the beds that we're growing stuff are. We planted this garlic early and it started to grow. That's one way to know that plants are growing here. But another way is to have this straw mulch on top. You'll notice as it terraces out through this garden, every bed that we have planted, we've come back and straw mulched. That keeps weed pressure down, holds moisture into the soil. Make sure that the ground isn't eroding. We spent a lot of money and time getting this ground really nice. For it just to wash into the creek, that seems like a big detriment for everybody involved. Bottom line, this is why we cover crop, this is why we chop and drop, is because the time over winter and these things decaying make our spring garden that much more successful. This is an automated watering system, and it's kind of the highest level of keeping your animals hydrated in the wintertime. There's a float valve in here, and when the water is drunk, it fills it back up. One of the downsides of this system is the reoccurring cost after the initial setup fee. That reoccurring cost comes that you have to run electricity to this water heater. Because the water is exposed to the air, there's an electric heating element on the back of this that keeps that water from freezing. It's a wonderful system if you're working at large scale and very large scale for cows or goats. I'm going to show you some cheaper options that we have working right now that don't have that reoccurring cost, and that's why we really like them. The lowest cost option for keeping water to animals in the wintertime might look like one of these frost-free hydrants and a short hose. Now you could put the hose into the water and just let it trickle. That heavily reduces the chances of, one, the water freezing because it's constantly moving, but two, the water freezing inside of your pipe and keeping it from busting. I really like these frost-free hydrants because water's on when the water is off, that drains into the soil below the frost line and keeps you from busting pipes. When the water is exposed above the frost line, it freezes and it can break your pipes. This is the lowest cost option. It might look like having a large container that you haul water to a farm that you haven't put this infrastructure on, but we heavily discourage that because water is heavy, and over time you're going to track up your land, and it's just more and more of an expense. So whether you collect water off a tarp and do rainwater collection off the roof of something, collecting water into a large cistern with a lot of volume to keep it from freezing over the wintertime, ultimately that water has to get into a tub and these things will start freezing. I like a smaller tub that you can come in, and with these chickens behind me, you see we have these old mineral feeders. I really like those for chickens because when they freeze, the slope of the sides, we can just dump them out and it makes it really easy. We don't have to come through with a stick and start breaking the water. Where this is pretty heavy, it's tough to flip that over. A smaller container is nice, provided that you have constant flow and a way to direct that overflow. It's not the nicest system, but it's a way to get started. If you have access to electricity nearby your watering tank, there's a couple options for de-icers that'll keep ice out of that tank. Now this one is a drain plug de-icer for that tub that I showed you earlier, and it screws in and it keeps, it's just the heating element that when you plug it in, it heats up the water and keeps ice from forming so much. Now these are relatively inexpensive. Because prices change all the time, I'll drop some links in the description to Amazon where you can find these things. But these things are, you can find them at Tractor Supply. Any rural store should have these in stock. But buy them early because once it starts freezing, we see the hordes, just like the toilet paper gangs, they become the stock tank de-icer gangs, and they might not have these in stock if the cold weather is approaching quickly. So there's that version of a heater, and then there's this other, gets plugged in and just submerged into the water. We use this in our rabbit setup. When we were keeping rabbits down in the bottom of this barn, we had a water here, and we have this de-icer that does the same thing and keeps that water heated up and recirculating. So we really like these units, but the downside is that reoccurring cost of electricity. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and this will buy some of your time back from going out there and busting up the ice in the tubs every day. Here are other versions of that same de-icer. You see you have a lot of these around because when you need them, you need them. Some of these are floating. Some of these will sink to the bottom, and it has these little legs, so it's kept off the bottom. But all of these take electricity. Smaller ones, we use these in our chicken coop, the big mobile chicken coop, to heat the water up. But they're all the same principle. You plug it in, there's a heating element, and it keeps the water from freezing in the wintertime, and your animals hydrated. Because if they don't have water, they go downhill really, really quickly. Water is an essential piece to keeping animals. Here's another option. This is a heated dog bowl that we've used for the chickens before. This is an older one, probably needs to go in the trash, but it's the same thing. There's a heating element in the bottom of this bowl. It senses when the temperature is cold, and then it kicks on, and it's a really nice way to keep your labor down at the expense of a little electricity. I didn't know I had all this stuff until we started looking at it.
How do you feel now?
How do I feel now? That I don't know. This is money just sitting. That's what I'm thinking about, truthfully. It's like, why is some of this not in use? Or I'll tell you why. Because we've automated these systems. We started off really cheap, and now we have like permanent systems that take less and less management over time. That's what we're about, saving money, and that doesn't come just by not buying things or like being intentionally thrifty. It comes from designing systems that work really, really well, and we can be hands-off to them. The animals are going to take care of themselves. The less work that we can put in, that's our definition of abundance. Less work, more return. That's good farming. We're over here at one of the other systems that we manage. Check out that $1 Million Farm series where we came in just like an overgrown, neglected piece of land, put in a lot of infrastructure, and now we have cows rotationally grazing. This, I think, is the pinnacle of water systems in this environment. We have, just like the other one, we have a water line pipe to the ground. There's a float valve up here. When the cows drink the water, it automatically fills up, so it reduces our time and creates more efficiency for us to do other things. The cows just kind of handle themselves. But I like it because it's heavily insulated, and there's also not exposing the water to air. When the cows want to drink, they press down these floats, and then that exposes the water. They can drink whatever they want to. When they're done, the ball comes up, sealing the cold air away from that water. The water fills back up with the float valve, and it really creates an efficient system. In colder climates, you may have to run electricity to this, but because it's completely enclosed, you have a greater efficiency than having the other one where the water is exposed to the air, where it could potentially freeze, and you have to have that electric hookup. Because if you don't, if the power goes out for whatever reason, that water could freeze. I really like this system when we combine it with the solar panels on the water pump. So whenever the sun is shining, there's water here. And even in cloudy environments, there's even some of the solar panels can run on moonlight. It'll pump water, and it creates a really efficient system that we don't have to tie to the grid, and it makes the cows happy at the same time. So this is something we've talked about in the solar powered well video, and we talked about it at the other farm. It's just a frost-free hydrant. It allows for us to have water year round when temperatures are below freezing, but when we cut it off, it drains into the ground. But one thing that I think is really worth mentioning is you have to secure it. So we've built this water corral, which simply just keeps the cows, keeps the goats out of the system. They're very inquisitive, and they're gonna rub their head up against anything they see. We don't want that to be the frost-free hydrant inside. So we built this watering corral. It's just one more preventative measure to keep our water system from busting when we're not looking at it. So in this large scale of keeping chickens in a rotational grazing system, we have this large watering tank. Now it's the same as everything that we've talked about before. There's a heater that's hooked up to one of these control boxes that when the temperature gets low enough, it turns on. The other thing is moving water is harder to freeze. So we've done the same thing, but have a little pump going, and that just circulates water through this whole system. Now this system is solar powered on a battery backup, but let's say that something goes wrong and that system breaks. I want to introduce you to a product called the Freeze Miser, and this is a wonderful product that can be used in horses or cow applications with a trough, or it can be used in this application. We've put another fitting on here, a hose bib, and then this is the Freeze Miser, and it works really, really cool. when the temperature drops below, I think, 35 degrees, there's a gel inside that expands a spring, compresses a spring that allows water to flow out. And that keeps the pipe from busting. So if the water's moving, it's harder to freeze. And this is just like a relief valve. So when it opens up, it's automatic. It'll allow all the extra water to flow out, and it serves as a backup system so that this system doesn't freeze and break should the heater and the pumps go out. I really like the freeze miser system. You can attach it to float valves in a tank or just on like a garden hose end. But it's a really great system, and for 35 bucks, I think you get 2 of them. I'd highly recommend playing and experimenting with the freeze miser. One question that we've had asked is, why do you need this concrete pad? Why can't you just put this on top of the ground, connected to the water pipe coming up through the ground? And it provides 2 things. One is it's a secure foundation for this system to bolt to the ground. The cows can come up, they can hit their head against this. They're cows, they're interested in things, they're very inquisitive, they're gonna rub up against this. And if there was too much movement, you have the potential of busting that water line. The other thing is we've caulked around the bottom so that air can't flow in. Ultimately, it provides for a higher level of security to make sure that this system isn't degrading every time the cows use it. You want to size this pad so that the cows can at least get their front hoofs on while they're drinking out. Some people will take gravel and spread it around, but ultimately the concrete pad is necessary, and it's in the instructions. Even the company says you have to have a concrete pad. So this is a permanent installation. This is not your entry-level system, but it's what we really like at large-scale rotational grazing operations, is this Ritchie waterer. Hopefully you've gotten something from this video. It's our goal to save you time, to save you money, and ultimately resources, so you can get back to doing what's important. That's hanging out with your friends and your family and enjoying quality time with others. This is a great system for doing that at large scale. Thanks for watching.